Recently, you must have seen dozens of articles related to this topic that Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has targeted left-wing political parties worldwide, whether in the US, India, or Europe. She said that when Trump speaks, when Modi speaks, and when I speak, that means when any right-wing leader speaks, they are always seen as a threat to democracy.
When Trump, Meloni, Milei, or maybe Modi talk, they are called a threat to democracy.
So, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has openly defended Donald Trump, Narendra Modi, and other right-wing leaders. But why? What's the global political shift happening right now? Stay with me till the end, because I'll show you a world map that will completely change how you see global politics. Let's get started. Now, you might wonder why Giorgia Meloni suddenly started talking about Modi, Trump, and other world leaders, saying they are being targeted. Basically, this statement has sparked debate. You might wonder and thinking as, why do left-wing parties always accuse right-wing leaders of endangering democracy? Why did Meloni suddenly start defending world leaders like Modi and Trump? Let's break it down. To understand this, we need to look at the bigger picture. Across the world, left-wing parties claim that right-wing politics is a danger to democracy. You've seen this in the USA, Europe, and even India. But you must ask yourself that, is this really the case? Or is it just political strategy? We'll get into that soon. But first, let's talk about a major global conference that explains why this unity is happening. Right now, the USA is hosting the Conservative Political Action Conference (CPAC). This is a massive event where right-wing leaders from around the world come together. And this year, we've seen a huge shift. Earlier, right-wing parties mostly focused on their own countries. But now, they are aligning on a global level. Because for decades, left-wing parties have had strong networks supporting each other, whether in media, NGOs, or policy making. Right-wing leaders are realizing they need to do the same. Let me show you a very interesting world map that will help you understand how the world is currently divided into right-wing and left-wing politics. This map highlights which parties are in power in democratic countries with proper elections. You won't find Russia or China here because China lacks democracy, and Russia's democracy largely revolves around Putin. In the USA, you'll see the center-right Republican Party, where Donald Trump is the leader. The difference between right-wing and left-wing parties varies from country to country. For example, in Europe, the USA, and Canada, the major focus of right-wing parties is illegal immigration. They believe that too many people are coming from other countries, straining resources and job opportunities, so immigration should be controlled. Historically, the main difference between right-wing and left-wing politics is that right-wing parties aim to maintain the current status quo, which is why they are often called conservatives. They want to preserve the majority religion, culture, or social structure. Meanwhile, left-wing parties tend to support minority groups, whether religious, linguistic, or otherwise, and seek to bring social change. For example, in the USA, right-wing parties don't support the LGBTQ+ community as much as left-wing parties do. Right-wing ideology is about maintaining existing structures, while the left believes in bringing change. This general distinction may vary by country. Now, looking at India, can we say that India has a right-wing government? Globally, political maps label India and the USA as having center-right parties. Even though the ruling party in India is considered right-wing, they also offer welfare schemes and are not fully right-wing in their policies. If you want to see truly right-wing governments, look at South Korea or Argentina. Right-wing political parties generally believe in reducing government intervention in people's lives and cutting down government expenses. Leaders like Giorgia Meloni in Italy and Erdogan in Turkey also belong to the right-wing spectrum. On the other hand, countries like Australia, Canada, and Spain currently have left-leaning governments. Now, let's come back to Giorgia Meloni's statement. Why is she defending Trump and Modi? It's simple, she sees a double standard. She pointed out that when a right-wing leader wins an election, they are called a threat to democracy. But when a left-wing leader wins, it's called a victory for democracy. This narrative is pushed in global media, universities, and international institutions. And now, right-wing leaders are pushing back. And for the first time, we are seeing that across continents, from India to Europe to the USA, right-wing parties are uniting, realizing that left-wing parties have deep mutual cooperation. Right-wing parties are now catching up, which is why CPAC in the USA invited many foreign leaders, including Giorgia Meloni, who spoke in support of right-wing leaders worldwide. She stated that the global left narrative was shaped by Bill Clinton and Tony Blair, who pushed the idea that right-wing parties are a threat to democracy, something she believes is incorrect. She also said that left-wing parties globally are worried about Donald Trump's growing popularity because the US literally has a huge cultural influence. When left-wing parties rule the US, their policies reflect in American movies and music, influencing the world. However, since Trump's popularity is increasing not just in the US but globally, the left-wing parties are becoming nervous.
It's a risk. The only thing that you can do is to put it in the wiser hands. That is why conservatives keep on growing and are becoming more and more influential in European politics. And that is why the left is nervous. And with Trump's victory, their irritation has turned into hysteria. Not only because conservatives are winning, but because conservatives are now collaborating globally. When Bill Clinton and Tony Blair created the global leftist liberal network in the 90s, they were called statesmen. Today, when Trump, Meloni, Milei, or maybe Modi talk, they are called a threat to democracy. This is the left's double standard. But we're used to it. We are used to it. And the good news is people no longer believe in their lies. Despite all the mud they throw at us, citizens keep voting for us. Because simply, people are not naive as the left considers them. They vote for us because we defend freedom. We love our nations. We want secure borders. We preserve businesses and citizens from the green leftist insanity. We defend family and life. We fight against wokeism. We protect our sacred right to our faith and our free speech. And we stand for common sense. So ultimately, our struggle is hard, but the choice is simple. Will we surrender to decline? Or will we fight to reverse it? Will we let our civilization fade? Or will we stand up and defend?
Now, one big question, did Narendra Modi attend CPAC? The answer is no. Indian politicians, whether from the BJP or Congress, that is whether the right-wing or left-wing generally avoid participating in such global conferences directly. But India is still being discussed a lot at CPAC. Why? Because of its growing global influence. One controversial statement Trump made at CPAC was about US aid to India. He questioned why US money was being used in Indian elections. India's Foreign Minister, S. Jaishankar, responded by saying that this issue is being investigated. This is a developing story, and we will update you as more information comes in. So, what does all this mean? We are seeing a new global trend. Right-wing leaders are forming alliance, just like left-wing parties have been doing for years. Whether it's Trump, Modi, Meloni, or Milei, these leaders are now standing together. What do you think about this shift? Is the world moving towards a conservative future? Or will the left-wing parties continue to dominate? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.